Hey, it's Nathan with Options4L.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can manually close out your positions within the Options4L Options Tracking Dashboard. Now, this is a tutorial for the Options4L Options Tracking Dashboard, and this is a paid feature. So, if you're not a paying member, this video probably won't be very interesting for you. So with that warning out of the way, let's get into it. Now this video kind of goes hand in hand with creating manual transactions. Now a lot of people will upload their own transaction file from Robinhood or Fidelity or Schwab or wherever. And when you do that, your transactions will automatically be grouped and organized and everything like that. And you don't really have to do a whole lot. However, I do know people are manually entering their transactions, and I want to show you a quick way you can go ahead and close out of your positions. So that's what we're covering in this video. So let's go over to the Options4L Options Tracking Dashboard, and we'll go to our open positions now. And if we scroll down to our open positions, on the actions column, you should see an action that looks like an exit door. And when you hover over it, it says manually close position. So you can see all of them have this particular option, and we can go ahead and click on it. So click on that, and it gives us the manually close position modal, and it gives us the details and some options to go ahead and select and work through. Alright, so I'm manually closing a SPY iron condor, 4 open legs to close. Now, how was this position closed? And in this case, there's only one option. We have a standard close right here. We can go ahead and select the close date that it occurred on, so it automatically places the current date in there. But if you closed it, back on Friday and you forgot to update it, or you closed it back on Thursday and you forgot to come in here and update your transaction, you could go ahead and select, the day that it closed on. And when you do that, it'll automatically grab the price of those particular options at the end of the day. So they may not be accurate depending on, when you close it out, but it gives you a starting place. And of course, you could go to your broker and get the actual prices. So what it brought in was, 4 cents, 7 cents, 24 cents, 18 cents. If it was actually, 6 cents and 9 cents, for example, you could go ahead and make those changes. You could also go ahead and apply the fees. So if you had fees for your brokerage, you could go ahead and apply the appropriate fees and so on. And then you can just click on manually close position in this case. And boom, it automatically went away from our open positions log. And if we come over to transaction history, then we can see that it created 4 transactions for SPY in order to close out of that iron condor. So you can see it right here. We selected the 8 January date. So you can see there's 4 transactions that were entered here. You can see we got the sell to close on the call option, the sell to close on the put option, and buy to close, and so on. You can see that it brought in the prices that we entered and the fees as well. If you realize, you messed something up, like, oh shoot, there wasn't a fee, you can just click the little pencil icon and be like 0 and update your transaction. And there we go. So no fees associated now with that sell to close order. And let's go back to our open positions. There's a couple other things I need to show you. So open positions. So we also have a cash secured put right here. And let's go ahead and click on the manually close position button. So we already went over the standard close. The same concept would work on closing out a cash secured put. You could select your particular close date, and it'll fetch the current price, or the price at the end of the day. So in this case, January 8th, 2026, and it loads it in automatically. Of course, you could go ahead and change it to whatever might have actually happened. But also on the cash secured put side, we could also be assigned. So there's an option to click assigned here. And in this case, we could still go ahead and select our close date. I'm going to do January 5th because I don't have any transactions on that day, and it helps us, keep things organized in this particular example. We can assign transaction fees, so if there's any fees associated with being assigned, you could go ahead and apply that right here. And also we have the option to record the stock transaction, because when we're assigned, we have to go ahead and do whatever we were assigned to do. So in this case, I have to buy 10, because I have 10 contracts times 100 shares of IBIT. So 1,000 shares of IBIT, and you can see the transaction right here. So buy 1,000 shares of IBIT, and price per share is $53 because that is the strike price. So $53,000 goes out. I might have fees to associate with this particular stock transaction, but in this case, it's going to create 2 transactions for us. It's going to create the assigned transaction, so that'll close out the option, and then we'll also have another transaction where we're buying 1,000 shares of IBIT at $53,000. So let's go ahead and manually close this position, and boom, just like that, it vanished off of our open positions. And we come over to transaction history, and we selected the 5th of January. and we can see there's 2 transactions right here. So I have my assigned transaction, or option assigned, where I had 10 assigned for a value of 0. But then I also purchased 1,000 shares of the IBIT stock right here, and you can see that that cost me $53,000. And so that's what the assignment looks like. Of course, you could come in here and you could edit it. If you need to edit anything like that, you could do so. Let's go back over to open positions, and I have a long position right here. So let's go ahead and click on the manually close position button. And in this case, we have the option to exercise our option, right? Because we longed this position, so we could exercise it if we want to. And let's say that we exercised it on January 6th. And we could go ahead and associate any sorts of commissions or fees with it. Also, we can record a stock transaction at the same time. So in this case, I'm exercising a long call, so I have the right to buy stock at a certain price. So I'm buying 100 shares of IBIT at $45, and my total value is $4,500. I could align any fees and commission and go ahead and click on manually close position. And boom, just like that, it left our open positions. And we could come back to transaction history. We'll scroll down to January 6th, and we can see that I have my option exercise transaction right here. And we can also see that I purchased 1,000 shares of IBIT at the $45 strike price, so minus $4,500. And there's both of those transactions. Now, let's say that, we messed up and we actually don't want to do what we just did. Well, we can go ahead and just delete these 2 transactions. These 2 closing transactions. So I'm going to go ahead and delete where I purchased the 100 shares. We'll delete that transaction. And I'm also going to go ahead and delete where I exercise my option. So we'll delete that transaction as well. And boom, they're out of our transactions log, and they've updated our cash balance and everything else. And it's reappeared back here on open positions. So that's how you could go ahead and undo something you might have done, is simply by deleting the closing transactions. It'll automatically go back into your open positions, and then you could take another action or whatever it is you're trying to do. And so that's it for this video. Hopefully this feature helps you out, especially if you're manually recording your transactions and stock option positions. And that's it. I hope you have a great rest of the day.